Hello, sir. How are you?
Doing great. How you doing today?
Oh, doing fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you for participating in today's town hall. My hope is that it is helpful for everybody. And I really appreciate your presence. So thank you very much. Let me make
Of course.
I'm sorry.
No, I was saying, of course, thank you. I'm trying to find better lighting if I can as well.
All right. Well, while you do that, I'll make a few announcements. Everyone, please know that this is being recorded, and this is Visitation Valley Community Unity that is sponsoring this event. We're grateful to our president for coming on to answer a few questions and to share information with us today. Visitation Valley Community Unity is a group of community leaders who are working in Visitation Valley to bring voice to the residents of Visitation Valley and to make sure that people have a pathway for solutions for the issues that we face in that community. So we have on from VVCU, Edith Yamanoa, and we have also Rex Tabora, and I see we have Russell Marine, who is also part of VVCU, and that's all that's on right now, and Anna Liao. So we're going to get started. We have a few questions for you, Supervisor, to begin, and then we'll open the floor for questions from the audience. But you may want to make an opening statement before we ask our questions.
Thank you so much, Pastor Cowan. And again, thank you to VVCU and all the residents and community leaders in Visitation Valley. I'm Shamann Walton, currently the president of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors and your District 10 representative. I am running for re-election so we can continue to fight to make San Francisco more affordable, make sure that we do everything we can to address the concerns and issues with people experiencing homelessness and get people off the streets and into housing, continuing to push forward the components of our extensive District 10 safety plan so that we can keep people safe and community and make sure that San Francisco is working best for everyone, particularly here, folks in Visitation Valley, across District 10 and across the city. Also want to continue our fight to improve education. Most certainly in the district, we have a lot of schools that have the biggest gaps in achievement, and working together with my colleagues, working together with the school district. And if we, of course, make sure that our student success charter amendment passes in November, we will be able to add $20 million to the district and most certainly $1 million for the schools that have the biggest gaps in achievement, which unfortunately, a lot of them exist in District 10. So our continued fight for affordability, safety, addressing the problems and concerns of people experiencing homelessness and improving our schools is something that we will continue to prioritize. I look forward to your support and thank you for having me here this afternoon.
Fantastic. Thank you again. If anyone needs interpretation, Chinese interpretation, just go to the interpretation room. The prompt is at the bottom of your screen. All right, so question number one, sir. What were your top three accomplishments in the last 4 years?
Thank you so much for that question. I think one of our biggest accomplishments is really putting a safety plan in place that we receive input from everyone in the district. So across Visitation Valley, across Potrero Hill community, across Bayview community, across Little Hollywood community, across the Dog Patch community, we had forums and discussions within community, took feedback and developed an extensive plan to address safety across the district. There are major concerns about safety in the district, and in some areas it could be about theft, some areas it's about violence, other areas is about making sure that folks are protected on Muni. And so we brought together all of the people that were responsible for keeping people safe, our street violence intervention and prevention team, our MTAP officers on Muni, our community ambassadors, our public defender, our police department, our district attorney's office, our nonprofits. And we developed an extensive plan on how to address safety in each area. So in some cases, it may be more MTAP officers on Muni and more community ambassadors, which our office made sure that through the budget process, additional resources went to support that. In some cases, it's about making sure we have community foot patrol officers that speak the language in community. And as you know, we made sure those officers were available at 66 Raymond and at 50 Raymond for members of community with language capacity so that people could report incidents of safety issues and concerns and get a response from our police department. In some cases, it has been making sure that our street violence and intervention prevention team is coordinating better with our other nonprofit leaders and making sure that more jobs are available to keep young people off the streets and away from crime and making better decisions and being supported by employment and education opportunities. So that is something that we deem as a major success for our office because this was something that was very important to community. Another thing I'll say, another major accomplishment is actually bringing our third navigation center to the district, as well as our vehicle triage center to the district. As we know, there are major concerns and issues with making sure we do everything we can to keep people off the street and to address what is happening with people experiencing homelessness, both within our communities and of course with the people who are experiencing homelessness. So bringing a third navigation center to the district on Evans Street helped us have the capacity to provide more beds and provide more wraparound services for individuals experiencing homelessness. For us to bring the vehicle triage center, which is the only one that exists in San Francisco. And as a lot of you know, most of the numbers of people experiencing homelessness in District 10, particularly during the pandemic, were people who were living in their vehicles. We had a lot of people living in and around the Candlestick area in vehicles, but they weren't receiving wraparound services. There was no sanitation, no restrooms, no security, no 24-hour support. And the vehicle triage center helped us be able to clear that site, make sure people have access to the state park, but more importantly, also provide wraparound services with the ultimate goal of protecting people and making sure that people who are experiencing homelessness have a place to go that will be more permanent and receive the support that they deserve. And so within having that last navigation center and bringing the VTC over to the Candlestick area, now we have 3 navigation centers in District 10. We have a vehicle triage center. We have RV site at Pier 94. We have a safe sleeping site in front of United Council and Mother Brown's. And so what that has done is helped us decrease homelessness across the district. And we are proud that we've been able to step up as a district to address the issues around people experiencing homelessness and really do something about it. Not too many supervisors can say that they've made sure that we have so many sites in place to really support getting people off the streets. And so we are, of course, excited and proud that we were able to do that. And I'll just say another accomplishment that we've been able to do. And when you ask a question like that, obviously we're proud of all the work that we've done in the District 10 office. But most certainly, if you also look at the pandemic and how we have economically suffered as a city, particularly in our downtown areas and areas where some of our major corporations and businesses that employ a lot of people exist. We have not had that same issue here in District 10. In fact, we've had businesses grow on 3rd Street. We continue to have more ribbon cuttings, and we'll have about 6 more in the next couple of months. So we're excited about everything we've done with economic development on 3rd with our Viz Valley merchants and bringing more businesses on Leland and really working together, of course, to start a merchants association in Visitation Valley. We have made sure that we laid the groundwork, that we've been out in community and across San Francisco, letting people know that coming to District 10 to open a business is a place where, 1, you're going to get support, but 2, we're excited about it. So I'm very proud of the number of small businesses that have opened since the pandemic and continue to open across the district. And again, on our Leland Street corridor, our 3rd Street corridor, and of course, our businesses that are continuing to thrive in Potrero Hill on 18th Street and the Connecticut area, because if we have small businesses that are thriving in our communities, obviously we're employing people from the community, but most certainly also making sure that our communities can be a destination place and be an example of what growth should look like across the district.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you for your answers. Second question, what are your top 3 priorities for Visitation Valley if you're elected again?
Well, again, I work for all of you, and I just appreciate being in this role. And the things that have been identified by community, number one is safety. And that's why we have such an extensive safety plan in place. That's why we spend so much time working with Visitation Valley leaders and walking the corridors with the captains of our station and talking to business owners and talking to members of community, because we understand and know that safety is a major priority for Visitation Valley community. And so we're 100% going to continue to fight to keep communities safe. We also know that affordability is another major issue, and making sure that people can afford to continue to live in Visitation Valley is something that has been important to community. And so the Schlage Lock development is something I know is a priority to a lot of residents in Visitation Valley. And you have a commitment from my office to do what we can to move that along and move it along faster. As you know, the new building on Arleta and Bayshore has been restored. There's a community space there, and there's been promises made by the developer that they expect and intend to break ground next year, which I think is going to be good news for all of us. But you have our commitment to make sure that we push to make sure that that happens for community. And again, making sure that we do everything to support people who are experiencing homelessness so they're not on our streets, and that they do have a place to go so that our businesses can thrive, or our schools can thrive, but also so we can support and connect them to what they need. Improving our schools is a major priority for us. Traffic calming in certain areas of the district is a major priority for us, and continuing to make sure that language access is prioritized is also something important for our office. One of the first things that we did when we got elected to the office is make sure that we brought ESL classes back to 50 Raymond site, because we have a lot of monolingual Chinese speaking families that wanted to learn English. And so we made sure that the resources were provided for ESL classes to exist, and that still continues. And we're going to make sure we continue to push for funding to support that, because we know that that is also important to the community. So I know I named more than 3 things, but most certainly we have a lot of issues to tackle, and our office is well prepared to continue to do that.
All right, thank you so much for that as well. And to those issues you just brought up, our question is, what do you anticipate to be your greatest challenges to those priorities?
I think investment is always a challenge, making sure that we're all on the same page in city leadership in terms of where resources should go and how they should be allocated. We fought for Prop I, which was led by Supervisor Preston, and now we have millions of dollars that go to affordable housing, and we need to make sure the city uses all of those resources for that. So that's something that I'm going to continue to push and prioritize, and try to get all of city leadership on the same page to allocate resources in a manner that are going to be beneficial, of course, for District 10 and Viz Valley residents. Also, just the will to do things that most certainly we haven't done in the past. If you look at the street crisis response team and the crisis alternative response team, which we're not fully funding, and they're not on our streets 24/7, making sure that those innovative, creative ideas that really, from my standpoint, are basic. When there's a crisis in our streets, we have somebody who has mental health experience and expertise. We have someone who has health experience and expertise. We have someone who knows the community and response, because we typically have better outcomes when responding to crisis when professionals are the ones doing that response. So making sure resource allocation is prioritized to go in the areas where we know we can see success. And again, really supporting innovation and things that we know will lead to the outcomes that we want. And those are always going to be challenges, because when you make investments, people are concerned if new things are going to work, but we have to really be bold and we have to do the things that are going to support what we know is going to be successful. And those tend to be our challenges. But as the president of the Board of Supervisors and as someone who has been able to have some success working with my colleagues and working with the leadership of the city, I know we can overcome a lot of those challenges if we continue to push hard and work together.
All right, thank you for that. What I'm going to do now is promote Russell Marine to the panel and just tell everyone in the audience, if you have a question that you'd like to ask Supervisor Walton, please put it in the chat or in the Q&A, and Russell Marine will read it for you and get an answer for all of us. So welcome Russell to the panel. And I'm looking at I don't see any questions yet. Let me see in the chat.
We can take this opportunity to remind folks that we have an election coming up November 8th. If you are a registered voter, you're probably here because you're interested in the topic. But as you know, Visitation Valley and in Bayview, we're always at the bottom of the list in voter turnout every year, every election, and we can do better than that. So if you're a registered voter, please vote. If you know registered voters in your family, your friends, your neighbors, make sure they also get out and vote so we can kind of move up that list and not be at the bottom of the turnout.
All right, thank you very much for that announcement. Very important as well. Let's see, so there's no questions right now in the chat and there's no questions in the Q&A. So we're gonna give 30 seconds. If we don't see any, then we're gonna thank the supervisor for his time. All right, I guess your answers are so complete and clear that people have no questions.
Check the interpretation. If there's any questions there might be
okay.
Audio.
There's a question right now, Russell, and there's a couple of them in the Q&A.
Oh, in the Q&A, okay. Brianna, you spoke at a lot about what you have done or plan on doing for the Bayview and Greater Visitation Valley. Can you be more specific about your plans, priorities, are for Sunnydale in particular? That's from Brianna.
Thank you, Brianna. Well, one of the things we want to do with Sunnydale is make sure that the development is completed and that everyone who was promised revitalization and a Sunnydale that works for members of the community is in place. So naturally, working with our state representatives, I was able to, well, let me say, we were able to secure additional money for the gym in Sunnydale. We were able to make sure that the financing for all of the revitalization of public housing is in place. And so you already see 2 of the new buildings that are up. We are now working on the 3rd building because there were promises that were made before I got in office, and as I got in office, made sure that we secured financing to complete the project. So that's something I continue to work on. I continue to work on with Captain Lou and the police department around safety, making sure that we have more patrols in sight, pushing the police chief to make sure we have more community police in sight. There are resources going to hopefully bring back community officers. We have some good community officers that were in place. They've all been promoted and gone in other areas, but most certainly I'll make sure that resources were available for us to bring some of those back and make sure that the financing is available for the additional development in Sunnydale. I put add back money to support training for individuals in the Sunnydale community to make sure they have the training they need to either work on the projects that are taking place right now in construction, but also to make sure that there's training available to them to go into any careers that they want to. And those resources were made available through our specific add back process as your representative, because that is something that a lot of the community was asking for. So financing of the continued revitalization, making sure the resources are available to have more community foot patrols and people who care about community that are dealing with law enforcement, securing resources to make sure that the gym that is promised for community is built and does happen, resources to go towards training. Those are just some of the things that we've done. And obviously we can continue to support community events and making sure that the community has vibrancy and opportunities to come together so that people understand that, to Russell's point, Visitation Valley, Baby on this point, a lot of eyes in San Francisco have been isolated. So we support community events to bring people together, but to also bring folks from other areas across San Francisco and other areas across the Bay Area so they can know that Visitation Valley and Sunnydale community is vibrant. And we'll continue to support more of those as well.
Question from Sister Patsy about mental health. She'd like to hear more about mental health response. She mentions that there was a new service where social services was teamed with the police and the fire department. However, it seemed it was only to be used in the Tenderloin. Also, there are no ways to contact this service, no phone number.
Thank you. And that's a great question. When I was talking earlier about the street crisis response team, obviously we need to expand the geography of where they are. So some of them exist in Bayview, some exist in the Tenderloin and other areas across the city, but we need them to cover San Francisco in its entirety. We need them to be out there 24/7. And so continue to fight for the resources to go to the street crisis response team, and also crisis alternative response team is something that is a major priority for our office, which is something we fought for during the last budget process and will continue to do in the future. I agree that there's been prioritization in areas where that makes them neglect the southeast sector of San Francisco, and that's why I also rely on community to let the mayor's office know, let my other colleagues know that, look, we have issues and concerns here that require a certain level of response. Mental health SF is something that really had a robust response to address mental health issues and concerns in community. And we got it passed right before the pandemic. And now that we're coming out of the pandemic, continue to make sure that the resources are going to be available for mental health SF, which includes funding the street crisis response team, which includes making sure we have more robust service providers providing mental health support and community. And we're going to make sure that funding also is available so that we can do more around mental health SF, which is going to expand services across the city. So I am frustrated as well with the inequitable response around mental health. And that's why I continue to call it out, just as you did in this question. And I will continue to do so to make sure that people know that we have concerns outside of the Tenderloin community.
Are there any questions in the translation room, Chinese or Spanish?
If there are, please put them in the Q&A. I'm going to promote. All right. Anna, can you hear me? I'm sure you can. Are there any questions from that interpretation room?
No, there isn't.
All right. With that, we want to say again, thank you, Supervisor Walton, for your time, for answering the questions, and really appreciate it. Do you have any last words you'd like to part before we go?
Well, again, just want to thank VVCU and the Viz Valley community for allowing me the time to answer some questions, talk about some of our successes, and of course, talk about the challenges. There's a lot of work we have to do across the district, but most certainly, I truly believe that I am the person that is most reflective of representing your needs, issues, and values, and really having the ability to get things done. And we're going to continue to work together if we're fortunate enough to be reelected so that Visitation Valley, Sunnydale community in the southeast sector of San Francisco receives the support and resources that they need. And you have my word on that.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir. Blessings to you, and we hope you have a great day. Thank you to everybody that came on today. Thank you for your participation, and we hope that this has been helpful to you in making your decision. And don't forget to vote.